Welcome to Theory of Music, Grade 1, Lesson 6 with Franz Devantier. In this lesson, we will be looking at scales, specifically the major scale. The word scale comes from the Latin word scala, which means a ladder. A scale is an alphabetic succession of sounds ascending or descending from a starting note. In other words, they go up or down from a starting note. The major scale, beginning with the white note C. The succeeding notes up to the next C, or for that matter, down to the C below, form the major scale of C major. There is a specific pattern of tones and semitones in a major scale, and that is tone, tone, semitone. It's so specific that we can actually divide the major scale into two tetrachords. It's because it's 8 notes, including the last note, which is also again a C. And each tetrachord has got exactly the same shape. Tone, tone, semitone. Then there's a tone between the two tetrachords. Tone, tone, semitone. And in a major scale, that relationship will always be like that. We've just marked the semitones because everything else is a whole tone. Something else to notice, that the do, re, mi, beneath it is the major scale, do, re, mi. Do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti, do. So that, if you say that do, re, mi, with those exact spelling, with those words, it fits the major scale. So we see that the 8 notes of the major scale are divided into 2 groups of 4 notes, and we call each group a tetrachord. Now, tetrachord comes from the Greek word tetra, which means 4, and chord, which means string or note. So tetrachord really means 4 notes. So it's a group of 4 notes and a group of 4 notes. The semitone always been between the 3rd and the 4th notes in a tetrachord. So it's tone, tone, semitone, and the second tetrachord exactly the same, tone, tone, semitone. In these 2 tetrachords, the patterns of tones and semitones will always be the same if it is a major scale. The semitone will always be between the 3rd and 4th notes. This is the do, re, mi scale, or the do, re, mi on the major scale. So any major scale, it doesn't matter what scale it is, as long as it's a major scale, can be broken into 2 identical tetrachords. If we took the second tetrachord from the scale of C, for example, the G, A, B, and C, and we put that at the beginning, in other words, we made that into the first tetrachord, then we could build a tetrachord for the second tetrachord. We could build the notes in for the second tetrachord. And we already know what the relationship is. It's going to start a tone away from the first tetrachord, and then it's going to be tone, tone, semitone. So here's the complete pattern for the second tetrachord. Tone, tone, semitone. Remember that there's always going to be a tone between the 2 tetrachords. So we've added the D, E, F sharp, and G. Now you might ask, why the F sharp? So we need the F sharp to keep the pattern. So you see it's D, E, and we need the semitone between the F and the G, and between F and G is actually a whole tone or a tone. So in order to get that semitone, we make the F a sharp, and then we have the semitone between the third and fourth notes of that tetrachord. The complete pattern for the second tetrachord, but looking at the piano keyboard, tone, tone, semitone, remember that, it's very important. And remember, there's always a tone between the two tetrachords. So we've added the D, the E, the F sharp, and the G. We need the F sharp to keep the pattern. If you look at the picture below, you will see between D and E on the keyboard is a tone. And between E and F sharp is also a tone. See, it's E to F sharp, that's also a tone. Two semitones make one tone. And then from F sharp to G is then a semitone. So the relationship is correct. To achieve the tone, tone, semitone relationship, F had to be sharpened to F sharp. This keeps the T-do relationship right. If it was F natural instead of F sharp, it would have been Ta-do instead of T-do. If we added another tetrachord, then we would get the scale of D major. It has F sharp and C sharp. Keep the tone, tone, semitone relationship. I have taken the whole scale of D down an octave just to make it more readable. Let's add a tetrachord below C instead of adding one above. So we have the first tetrachord on C, C, D, E, F, and we've added a tetrachord below that, F, G, A, B flat. Now we actually found we had to make the B into a B flat in order to preserve that semitone relationship in the first tetrachord. And remember, we also needed to make sure that we had a tone between the first tetrachord and the second tetrachord, and B flat to C is a tone. So it's all mathematically, if you like, worked out properly, because music can be mathematics. It's absolutely fun. And there we go. The major key of F major. Now, all major scales, excluding C major, which is the only exception, all major scales will have at least one sharp, or they will have at least one flat. A major scale could have up to 7 sharps. For example, C sharp major. And if you look below, you'll see, although there's 8 notes, there are 7 sharps because the first and the last note are the same. So C sharp, D sharp, E sharp, F sharp, G sharp, A sharp, B sharp, and back to C sharp again. A major scale could have up to 7 flats. For example, C flat major, C flat, D flat, E flat, F flat, G flat, A flat, B flat, C flat. Here is a puzzler for you. You know that there are 12 scales because there are 12 unique notes on the keyboard. But 7 sharp keys plus 7 flat keys plus C is equal to 15. Is that right? 15? Okay, the reason for that is that certain scales have 2 names. For example, C sharp major and D flat major are enharmonic equivalents, and so they are actually the same scale. We still end up with 12 unique keys. How are you going to remember all the sharps and flats for each scale? It's quite simple. You will use key signatures. All the sharps or flats are grouped together at the beginning of the line. Any additional sharps, flats, or naturals that occur during that line of music are then called accidentals. So that's where accidentals come in. Accidental is a sharp, flat, or natural that is not part of the key signature, an accidental. Thank you for joining me for Grade 1, Lesson 6 of Theory of Music. In this lesson, we have covered the major scale and the two tetrachords that it is made up of. In Lesson 7, we will introduce key signatures. See you in Lesson 7.